This is MJ Munoz. I am a writer, I'm an artist, and I'm a podcaster. And I welcome you back to another fully operational analysis of Star Wars The Mandalorian. As I'm revisiting The Mandalorian in preparation to watch the Mando Season 2. I'm late, guys. I wanted to do it so bad, be done by the last week of October so I could watch Mando number 2. Apparently The Marshal's out, or Season 2, Episode 1. And it's great. That's what everybody's saying. I don't know. I'll get there someday. Who knows? Maybe never. Anyway, first off, I wanted to give credit. The episode was written by Jon Favreau, of course, and it was directed by Deborah Chow, who did, I think, 2 or 3 episodes this season. I don't know. There's only 8 of them, and there were like 4 directors. There was Chow, Filoni, Howard. There's a black guy with like a Japanese last name, like Ron Fukuyama or something like that, I think. Anyway, I don't know. But that's okay. It doesn't matter right now. Point is, she directed this, and Favreau wrote it. And I think Favreau was the beefy Mandalorian. Like, you see this guy here? It was like Super Mando. I'm pretty sure that's him. Anyway, fun fact for those of you who don't know, if you're checking this out, I'm sure you do know, but if you don't, here you go. Pre Vizsla was a Mandalorian character with Death Watch, and they were a Mandalorian splinter group, and they were violent Mandalorians as opposed to the peaceful Mandalorians of the Clone Wars that George Lucas gave us in the series Star Wars The Clone Wars. He voiced that guy, and then, he ends up voicing this guy in a little cameo. He was the monkey guy with the 6 arms or whatever in Solo, and, he's working on the series. It's really cool for that dude. Living his dreams, I guess. Well, I don't know if he dreamed of being Star Wars or not, but he sure liked it, so congratulations to that man and his good work. Also, go watch Chef. It's a good movie. Anyway, getting back on focus, I'm revisiting The Mandalorian Chapter 3. I'm basically seeing, is it as good as it was when I remember it? I remember the show being very good. Is it still good? Does it hold up? The answer is yes, it does. I want to double down on my talk of spirituality from last episode, because last time I was looking at Mandalorian Chapter 2, The Child, I came to accept the fact that it's not going to be about the particular person, especially because this episode's called The Sin, although it is really about the sin of the Mandalorian failing to live up to the bounty hunter guilds. To sin means to fall short. So technically he fell short of the bounty hunter guild laws by asking about the child afterwards, after he turned him over, not forgetting about it, and then obviously going and stealing back the thing that you got money for. Like, he should have given up his Beskar armor in order to get it, if all things were being equal and fair and whatnot. But no, he steals and liberates a child from the Imperials here, and we don't know what they were trying to extract from him. People have their theories. I don't know. Maybe it was the Force. Maybe it was the seed for Snoke to come up in the future, as somebody speculated. But it doesn't matter. The point is, how was the episode? The episode was really good. I really like the moral dilemma that the Mando got into, and how you could see him struggle. And one of my favorite things about that was that he is not known for, but in this you get to realize that he is a foundling. He himself is a foundling. The child is a foundling. Who knows what happened to his parents? His parents are dead. They were killed in the Clone Wars by the CIS, their droid army. Anyway, so that explains his disdain for droids. But anyway, it was really interesting watching the episode again. I got to see, he had some beats with the child, some moments with the child where he kind of got used to it and having it around. But then there's also the added dimension of, again, them both being foundlings, and how he was saved and taken in by the Mandalorians and cared for when he could have been left to his death, which I kind of assume that's what happened here. He was thinking that he could have been killed or left for dead by the Mandalorians, but somebody took him in and made him part of the clan. And I think that's pretty interesting stuff. I did want to say, so they did this really cool thing with the end credits. They just used the concept art, which I think is brilliant. They play the music and the credits over it or whatever, but then they show select pieces of concept art that were made for the episodes, and I really dig that, for each particular episode. So there were like 10 images from this episode. I just picked my 4 favorite. One is like the Mandos on attack. Actually, this is Death Watch. I didn't even realize that. Holy smokes, that's cool. I thought this was the Mandos at the end, but this is like the Mandos, the Death Watch attacking the droid army in the flashback. That's super cool. And I don't know who this Christian Alsman is, but he did the art for this. Doug Chiang and Nick Grando, who I'm not familiar with Grando, but Doug Chiang did like a bunch of prequel work. He did the design for General Grievous, which is pretty dope. And let's see. Well, anyway, sorry. If you're looking at the audio only, go ahead and check out the blog, mjmunoz.com/FO. You can find, this is going to be episode 21, right? Yeah, it's going to be, anyway, it's episode 21. It's about Mandalorian Chapter 3. So, yes, I will continue. They were really cool. I liked how, there was that whole emotional thing with him, like, determining that he was going to save the child. Sorry for that honking. I don't know who that is. Anyway, that was really neat. And then seeing more of the flashback with his parents was neat. But I found the forging of the armor to be a really interesting time. The way he presents the Beskar to the armorer, or whatever she's called, the forger, it felt very spiritual. It felt like they were going through a ceremony when they're selecting the different things he should have. And I really like the idea, too, that, even though there is one way that the Mandalorians agree to, and we don't know what all the different elements of their way of life, but, we get some insight. This, Super Mando comes in here, the Chad Mando comes in here, and he is telling the Virgin Mando that his armor, his Beskar, is no good because it was forged or stamped or whatever out in a Imperial, I don't know what you'd call that. Whatever. Place where they deal with metals. And I think it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting concept that you would think that the armor is like stained by having been in Imperial possession. The idea would be that that armor, the Beskar there, was melted down from armor of Mandalorians that had been killed in the Purge. And we don't really know what the Mandalorian Purge was either. I would assume it's after the Siege of Mandalore, but I'm not 100% certain. Could have been after the time of Rebels if a bunch of Mandalorians, and I mean Star Wars Rebels, and then of course the original trilogy, because a bunch of Mandalorians potentially helped the Rebel Alliance, and maybe their participation with the Rebel Alliance goes farther than we know yet from the new canon. Anyway, I just think it's interesting that he would think it's stained and like disgraced and dishonored, and that that the Mando here, Din, or Jin, anyway, our current Mando that we're following in the story is, like tainted, or, foolish to take that, because he, breaks bread, or did he say sits table with, with Imperials, and then I really love the stoicism of the armorer. She just kind of sits there while these two guys are knife fighting, like, she doesn't even flinch. She sits there while they're knife fighting. By the time they come to a draw, she has risen from her, seated position, and she calmly declares and lays out this thing that kind of nullifies the fight and the feud between the two of them. And I thought that was really neat. What she said was, our secrecy is our survival is our strength, this is the way. That's how she rounds that out. And I just thought that was really interesting, that she, like, as I was watching how still she is in contrast to their fighting, I thought, does she not care which one of them wins? The Mando, our Mando, is specifically saying that he wants to make sure that, his armor, or the excess, Beskar goes to the, fund for the foundlings, to be supplied with armor, I guess when they get old enough, probably. And she's saying, like, of course, that is the way, that's what we're going to do. But, like, the Beskar is there. If he dies, or if the other guy dies, does it matter to her, or is freaking out and saying, no, don't fight, not going to help, because you're dealing with, and it's an adult dealing with adults, and you just kind of gotta let them sort their ways out, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that conflict is healthy to some extent. I don't really know, and I don't know if that's a Mandalorian philosophy. It's just kind of interesting to kind of read into, and I wonder if it's like a Rorschach where different people will read into it different things, because I almost see like a stoicism and a quietness in her strength, like trusting that they're not actually going to kill each other, because they did stop at a draw. But did they stop at a draw because that's the culture, or did they stop the draw because neither of them wants to die? And if one went past the point of the draw, the other would be forced to strike, and then they would both die or be injured. And there's an idea that if both of them are, severely injured or wounded, that weakens not the herd, the group, the clan overall, and then you're just basically eating away at yourself. And because the Mandalorians have been so damaged over time, doing anything that will overall cause harm to your fellow Mandalorians is foolish and is undesirable. I don't know. It could be that. Also, I don't quite understand why all of them joined, the Mando to help him at the end. The only thing I can assume is maybe it does go in line with that thinking of we Mandalorians will stick by each other and do as much as we can to preserve our numbers, because the Chad Mando said our strength used to be our numbers, because the forger, the armorer, said that our survival is our strength. He said our numbers used to be our strength, and now we have to hide like these desert rats or sand rats or whatever. And maybe it's enough to go ahead and protect this guy and get him out of there, even though they have to move their whole covert, their whole group of hidden Mandos there, because he has a certain amount of training, a certain amount of skill, and it doesn't make sense to throw that away, especially when they can just relocate and continue to earn money and build up their their war chest or just their funds so that they can survive and thrive. Which draws me back to another idea, which is that the armorer says to Armando that not Armando, Armando. She says to him that the foundlings are our future, which makes sense because in any culture, in any society, it is understandable to agree and to have an expectation that the children that one raises, produces, are their future. And even more so perhaps with foundlings and Mandalorians. I don't exactly understand, the mechanism of that. What would make it, is there a preference for foundlings over native-born Mandalorians? I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Or, what is a native-born Mandalorians? If the armorer and the Chad are husband and wife, and they're making Mando babies, maybe that's something. Although, you know what? Honestly, as a father of multiple children, I know that it is difficult to have children. It is difficult to raise children. It is difficult, especially up to a certain point. And it might be easier to take on a 5, a 6, a 7-year-old child and roll them into your way of life as an adoptee, because you get to skip the baby phase. And if there's nothing useful you can do or nothing useful you can instruct to somebody as a warrior under a certain age, then it might make more sense. It might be more efficient to grow your ranks by pulling in, rescuing, and raising in, bringing into the fold, into the family, into the clan, people who are foundlings. I hadn't considered that before, but I do think that's a very interesting perspective. But yeah, the episode was entertaining as all get out. It brings up a bunch of interesting lore questions that I want to explore. Obviously, I'm kind of doing that here and now. But the action was great. My only complaint about the show is it's a little too dark. Like if I'm not in a dark room at night, that's a daybird. I don't know if you can hear that. It's a daybird. I'm watching that during my break, or the show during my break, and during the nighttime fight scene, I couldn't really see that much, and that stinks when stuff is too dark that you can't see it. Shadows are great, and realistic lighting is really cool, I guess. But just like old comic books, they used to do it's nighttime, even though you can see every detail, and maybe it's just got all a blue tint to it or whatever. I think that's nice. I kind of enjoy that, but nighttime is fun too. The heavy inks in a drawing are real interesting, real evocative, but in a still image like in a comic book, it makes a little more sense for things to be cloaked in darkness because they set the mood for you in a way that moving visuals cannot. And I think moving visuals sometimes, when there's too much darkness, when there's not enough light, it just makes it difficult and unenjoyable for me to see, because I want to see the detail. I want to see more of the spectacle and less of the little sparks caused by spectacle that I can't quite see going on. One more thing I'll close up with is that I thought that Chow's direction of the Mando's raid of the Imperial Stronghouse was super dope. It felt like partially a horror movie, and it felt like, gosh, I'm not sure what else it felt like, but it felt very horror-esque. I liked how quiet it was. I liked how sneaky it was. It was really good. It wasn't the strongest part of the episode, but it was very strong. And then one last thing, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Making Star Wars, Jason Ward, everybody's favorite Star Wars fan, he put out a video on the YouTube YouTube.com, and it was about like the Flurgenmeyer effect or something. I don't remember the name, unfortunately, but it was this thing that this I think it was a Russian filmmaker did, where he filmed somebody with a blank expression, and then he cut it with different things. So he cut it with like a bowl of food, or a pretty lady, or like, a sad child or whatever. And basically the cutting back and forth between the guy's blank face and the image, or maybe it's the image and then the guy's face, like whatever emotion you're feeling, you project onto that guy's blank face when he is making, when you see the interplay of the footage. And he mentioned that it was something that like worked with the Mandalorian, and I was thinking about how the Mandalorian, because he's in his helmet and everything, you can't see his face and you can't see his expressions. And I was actually thinking about the child, that like the child is limitedly expressive, but it's like adorable. So maybe when you see the adorable Mandalorian or child, and then you look at the Mandalorian, you see like a bond forming between them, or you project the cuteness that you feel towards Baby Yoda on, or the child. I want a name, so we don't have to call him Baby Yoda. Anyway, which I kind of like the fact that the show like gives names very sparingly, and it's not like rich. Rich is probably a bad word to use. It's not rich in exposition dumps where it just gives you all this data about the stuff. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's the Mandalorian. It's the child. It's the Grief Karga's the bounty hunter guild guy. You've got the armorer. You've got the Chad Mando. Like, you don't need all the details, all the stats, the blood type, and the horoscope of these characters to care about them or know about them, or for them to be part of a compelling story, which I love. But I just hate that we have to call Baby Yoda Baby Yoda. Like, the child has a name. It's a certain species. I mean, I'd like to just know its species name, even if it was just that, and like if he'd seen them before, if that's a this, like that would be interesting and be less frustrating for me. But I'm just being pedantic, I guess. So anyway, so I mentioned the making Star Wars thing. Oh yeah, the affection felt for the child, gets transferred onto Mando, and you feel like he's forming a bond with it. That's kind of interesting. But I think what's stronger still is the music that is played sometimes while we're holding a still shot on the Mando, really makes for the emotion that you feel, or you feel that he's feeling, really. So like at the end, right before all his fellow Mandalorians come and rescue him, as he's under fire from all those bounty hunters, which by the way, I love that for whatever reason, the bounty, maybe the old dude turned it on. The old Imperial dude turned it on. I don't know. Anyway, those pucks, or the transmitters, transponders, I think, for like the DNA code or whatever it is of the child, they, like, everybody still had them on them, which is set up earlier in the episode when Mando goes back into the cantina. And I didn't realize that at first, that everybody had a transponder on them still from having tried to track him down. But then as he's walking away from the stronghold, I don't know if like the stronghold had a blocker on it, or maybe somebody switched back on the code to track it down, and that turned all the bounty hunters onto it. But I love that setup, and I love that he's walking through, you hear like one beep, and then you get a shot of the canteen, and it's beeping as he's getting farther and farther away from the stronghold towards his ship. The tension is mounting, and it's building, and it's like, as the closer he gets there, the higher the danger is for him and the child to get out of there, so it raises the stakes and everything. I loved it. That was friggin' fantastic. Okay, so I mentioned Chow, I mentioned Grief Karga a little bit, the tension. Gosh, when he's getting fired upon, it looks like he's gonna die. There's like some very dramatic music, very stirring music, and it looks like he's mourning the fact that he's about to die, or trying to make peace with it, but it's just the music, isn't it? That's probably what it is, but that's pretty cool. I like that effect. I think it's a neat thing to use, and I appreciate it. So pretty much that's all I have to say. Check out more of my Mando stuff. I will eventually get to The Mandalorian Season 2 while it's airing. Probably like by the third episode I'll be caught up to it, but I'm going to try real hard this week to get as many episodes as I can watched and analyzed and put out there for you to enjoy. And then anybody who's coming along later, just skip that and, go along to the next one. And I hope you enjoy. But anyway, like I said, you can visit mgmunoz.com/FO for Fully Operational, and you can see my notes on this. You can see some information about the show, some screenshots of select screenshots of the concept art for this episode, and some other little information you'll find there, along with the audio feed for if you just want the audio for podcast of your choice, Apple or Google or wherever else. You can get it, and then you can drop comments. You can see my other work related to Star Wars stuff over there, and I think that's about it. You can visit my support tab. You can see if you can go check my Redbubble to see if I have anything Star Wars or Mandalorian related there, because I might drop something over there. I just might. I have an idea. But that's for me to know and for you to find out. Anyway,